Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you being here for today's Sustainable CT Community Match Fund Office Hours chat. Today, we have the really great privilege of being joined by four project leaders, or actually more than that, but project leaders of four projects that were recently featured on the CPTV television show, Resourceful 3, which is the third iteration of the Resourceful 3 project that has focused for each of the past 3 years on community match fund led projects and the leaders, and talking about the outcomes. My name is Joseph Dickerson. I'm the community match fund manager here at Sustainable CT. And I wanted to give each person an opportunity to introduce themselves, what project they worked on, and what their sort of outcomes were as well. And so why don't we just start to my, actually it's that way. Carrie, if you would be willing to share about yourself and your project and your outcomes.
Sure. Hi, I'm Terry Rogers, and I'm the president of the Vernon Community Network located in the Vernon Rockville area. I'm also a town council member. And my project this year, we did our first diversity day with Sustainable CT. And what we did is we did a program with the Martin Luther King Beloved program, how to live in a beloved community. And we had our event on June 19th, I apologize, June 19th, and we were a success. We matched all our funds, and I like to say Cameron was awesome as my coach. So I'm excited to start planning. Joseph, I met like a couple of weeks back to start planning for our 2023 Diversity Day.
Great, thank you. Carrie Kinsey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie. I am the director of Free Center Middletown. We have 2 free centers, one in Hartford, Connecticut, and one in Middletown. We work together, so even though I'm in Middletown, most of the time we are a small but mighty team. Our project was called Spring Free. There was a new Complete Streets bike lane, had put some bike lanes in the community where we live, about safety for kids and folks riding. And on the other side of that, so many people in the town lost their parking out front of their house. And so Free Center came in as a way to celebrate who we are and where we live, and to see what we could do to kind of bring the community together, because it was a little bit, was unsettled because of that. So Sustainable CT, we were able to raise the funds. We even went over. I was really delighted with the community's participation. And so for the entire summer, we had youth ambassadors research and learn about unsung heroes in Middletown, Connecticut. And at the end of the summer, we painted in front of the local elementary school the silhouettes of these unsung heroes. And the exhibition that we had at Free Center, which is still up, so I invite everybody to come by and take a look before it goes down, where we set up photo booths throughout the town and had people, we took their Polaroid and asked them what community meant to them. And so it was a great project. Cameron was wonderful in the beginning when I was trying to understand and learn the process with Sustainable CT and how to honor and highlight all the folks that had helped us along the way. And so I think the biggest takeaway that I learned, or that we learned as a team, was that you can start with a really neat vision and have it all the timeline planned out. But when dealing with people and in community, it shifts sometimes. But if you're able to keep that flow, we found that it was a great success, even though it looked a little bit different in the planning. But we feel good. We feel good about the participation. Oh, there it is on the screen.
Yes. I thought I'd pull it up and give a chance.
That looks cool.
Yeah, so It was really
Yeah.
sweet. We had folks nominate people in community. And what we realized at the end was that unsung heroes are the people that actually showed up, to be a part of this. And so we have some great portraits of folks in Middletown that now adorn the walls at Free Center.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Carrie. Thanks for
you,
sharing. It was great working with you. And we'll come back around and in the next round of questions, just sort of talk about a little bit about the filming experience and sort of how you set that up and sort of where you went and worked. But let me move down the line, and next we will bring up Sir Bill. Bill, if you would tell us a little bit about Levo International and the Hartford Vertical Farm Training Program and kind of what you did there.
Sure. I'm Bill Hayden, and Levo International is a food security organization that was started in our work in Haiti in 2016, and really slowly developed between 2016 and 2020 in domestically in Hartford and Connecticut. In 2020 really started to move things in a more accelerated way. Our approach to food security is sort of an empowerment development approach as opposed to a relief program. So it's not a food pantry scenario. We're giving access to folks to grow their own food using our development of a version of hydroponic farming methods called simplified hydroponics, and that provides people access. You can grow that. You can use rooftops. You can do stuff in sunny windows. You can grow. You don't need soil, so you don't need arable land of any sort, and you can scale it down to fit almost anywhere. And in 2022, we were piloting an urban CSA, or a version of a CSA, community supported agriculture, where we were subscribing purchasers of fresh produce from, relatively affluent suburban locations to purchase vegetables that are grown in Hartford by Hartford residents. And they were individuals that were growing, sometimes in community gardens space, sometimes at their residence. And what we needed to do is to create a training space so that we could educate those potential growers in hydroponics, and then to extend that past the growers, which is a couple dozen growers that we had in the pilot, to the community at large. And so the indoor vertical farming space allows us to not only do some seedling kinds of production, as you can see there on the screen now. It's one of our indoor systems, and one of our staffers working it. So we can do actual indoor production, but more importantly, we can use that indoor production as a way to educate the community, and then transition to outdoor. And so there's one of our growers pulling out a nice big fresh head of lettuce. It's delicious, by the way. And so we use the Sustainable CT matching grant to do the basic outfitting of that training center. Really easy to work with, and it was a very positive experience. So yeah, it's just at the bottom there that's a rooftop version. Those are systems that are on the Hispanic Health Council on Main Street in Hartford on a rooftop.
That's great. That's awesome. Perfect. Thank you very much, Bill. Great working with you. It's been good to see you. And I came around to your event that you had at the Real Artways, which was exciting. It was good to see the growth of the program and kind of what you all are taking on next. All right, so let's move down. And Chris, you are the next person on my Hollywood Squares box. And so if you would share a little bit about the Climate New Haven Action Program and project. And we've talked several times, and you've actually been generous enough to attend a couple of webinars. So really appreciate what the work that you're doing, particularly because it's especially focused on training and developing youth around their understanding of climate and the impacts that they can have in terms of educating people about the climate change actions.
Sure. Thanks. It's great to hear about other projects. I know I got to see some of them in the video, but they're really cool projects. So it's great to hear about them more. Yeah, we work with a group called New Haven Climate Movement, and it's mostly youth-led group that works both on advocating for mostly city government action to cut greenhouse gas pollution in New Haven area, and also on climate education. So the program through Sustainable CT funded some summer outreach programs with youth interns doing art making and public education. A couple events each week throughout the summer that we're also getting people to sign petitions and learn about climate action. And we had a youth coordinator funded, who's actually pictured on the screen, Adrian Huck, who coordinated the summer program. It also funds high school climate education interns during the year. And we just hired another former youth climate education intern to coordinate our climate health education project newsletter, which goes out to teachers and students to encourage climate education. And if you want to check that out, climatehealtheducationproject.org has a lot of great climate education resources. And we had one intern this past summer as part of this project create a whole bunch of graphics and posters and flyers that can be printed or posted and used in schools anywhere about 5 basic themes that are important to learning about climate education and climate change. And so the effort this summer, the outreach and public education efforts was part of an ongoing effort, mostly again led by youth, to get the city to commit $5 million in federal ARPA funds from COVID relief funds to climate solutions. And the Board of Alders did vote in August to commit those funds. So the city is hiring staff to run programs, is committing money to energy efficiency and other projects in the city. So we're excited about that. And then in September, the Climate Education Committee of New Haven Climate Movement succeeded in getting the Board of Education to pass a climate emergency resolution, which commits the board by April 23rd of 2023, come up with basically 6 different plans, how they're going to reduce greenhouse gas pollution through school, transportation, buildings, energy, and food systems. So we have a bunch of youth right now working to research each of those issues and engage in discussions with different Board of Education committees about what kind of projects, what kind of changes would be impactful.
Awesome. Really great work. Great project. Really exciting to hear about the change that's happening, and also the fact that really training youth is a big deal. Like they're really going to be living with the impacts of climate change, and if they can get some leverage and get folks to make some changes, then hopefully we can make this help us turn the corner successfully, going a new direction. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for being here. Ken, you ran the Niantic summer program, summer sailing program. Really a cool project to see, especially visually, seeing youth out on the water and learning about sailing, but also learning about environmental stewardship and the impact of the ocean on our overall health and well-being. And, I think, as a person, so I am a big fly fisher. I'm not a sailor, but a big fly fisher. And I really value, I do a lot of saltwater fly fishing and grew up in Washington State. And so I really value clean, healthy waterways, and, really excited about the work your team is doing to also educate youth about healthy water and developing a connection for them to those waterways.
Thanks. Well, thanks, Joe. First, I really want to acknowledge the other presenters. I'm really in awe about the amazing projects that you all have brought to this program. I'm the president of this organization called the Niantic Bay Sailing Academy in southeastern Connecticut. We have about 100 kids who participate each year, and we have a number of them who receive scholarships because we don't want money to be a barrier to their participating. Our mission is to educate the next generation of sailors on the importance of protecting our seas, our shores, our air through environmental, sustainable, and conservation practices. We also want to teach them how to sail, but we want to teach them a lot more than that, because that's almost the easy part. The grant allowed the Sailing Academy to purchase equipment to train our instructors. Oh yeah, there's one of our kids, and yeah, so this young girl picked up some ocean debris. It looks like somebody had a party and lost their Mylar balloon, and that ended up in the ocean. And so that's a teachable moment. It's that, hey, this thing is gonna hurt a fish. It's gonna a sea turtle, a dolphin. We have other mammals in the water. We don't have a lot of porpoises, but toward the end of the summer we do, and we actually have a lesson on ocean debris where the kids collect ocean debris and they catalog it, and they actually they test it, and then we actually ask them, how long do you think this thing would last if it was in the water? This plastic dish, this bubble, this balloon, this hypodermic needle, this cigarette butt, and how long that would be in the water. And Joe, as a fisherman, I'm sure you've snagged some fish and some also some garbage, which is not what we want to see. So the grant allowed us to purchase materials to train our staff to engage the children in environmentally friendly and sustainable practices. The outcome was really that we were able to integrate STEM programming as well as more sustainable practices into our program. I like to tell the parents, we're going to sneak STEM education into their summer when they think they're just going to be at the beach and playing. We're actually going to make them learn about science and physics and wind power and solar power and buoyancy and friction and all those things that they thought they would only be getting in science class through the summer. I'm proud to say also that we engaged with this organization called Sailors of the Sea, and they were very impressed. They rate programs such as ours, and we started out 3 years ago as bronze. Last summer we were silver, and this summer we were honored to receive their gold standard, which is their highest standard of sustainable practices. Which it's just some of it's simple: carpool, don't drive, ride your bike, don't don't have mom drive you there. Wash your boats off with reclaimed water from the rain rather than with a hose. Just other we never use plastic water bottles anymore. We have a refillable water bottle station, which was also made possible by a grant from another entity. We're doing great stuff. We're teaching kids to be stewards of the environment. We're teaching them the skills that we want them to learn. And also there's those non-technical skills that we want kids to learn about being strong, independent, responsible, resourceful, confident youngsters. It's easy to teach the sailing techniques, pull the rope in, head off this direction, and the wind will probably help you go. But how about when you're out there alone and your boat breaks? And how about being resourceful and independent, and your mom's not coming out there to patch up your boat. You are so you're gonna, hate to say sink or swim, but you're gonna learn, you're gonna succeed and grow. So we're very thankful that we had this opportunity to use this money in what we think is a responsible way.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Ken. And Jacqueline, I know you were also involved. I know you're listening in today. You can't quite join in visually, but just really wanted to thank both of you for the work that you're doing. And I gotta definitely get out there on one of these sailboats one day. Yeah, I gotta come down. That'd be really fun.
Doors open. I mean that. Yeah, for sure. We can all come down. We'll have some fun. Not in those little boats. We'll have to get a bigger boat.
That's okay. That's
As they
okay.
said in the Jaws movie,
They said
right?
in Jaws, we're gonna need a bigger boat. That's all right. That's all right. Well, perfect. So great introductions. Really exciting projects and work that everyone is doing. What I want to do now is, we've done the CPTV Resourceful recordings and viewings several times over. And what I was hoping to do a little bit in this conversation is also to kind of give future leaders a resource for kind of what that process looks like, how it happened, kind of what things you looked to put in place to have it all come together. I participated in the CPTV, the first CPTV, leading the BCCO project in Hartford. And I'd never participated in something quite like that from a television perspective. And so it was a little nerve-wracking. And so I'm hoping, we're really fortunate that we actually were figuring out funding, and there's interest in doing Resourceful 4. So again, another round for next year. And so wanted to use your experience, a little bit of what you went through, how you pull it together, sort of what the experience was like for you, as a historical note for informing future participants of Resourceful 4. And so maybe we'll just kind of do the same thing, round robin style, and we'll start up with Carrie.
Hi. So I thought it was a really great opportunity to be highlighted and showcased. My experience over the summer working with children and the greater community is that if folks don't really think about sustainability, and they don't think about the environment. And even with our bike lanes, it was, it's bike safety, right? But let's go further than that. It's about this air that we breathe and everyone driving, the experience with CPTV coming in, it was a little nerve-wracking. I think, when you're nervous, you think you're being filmed. I know that I had to go back and talk to the crew and make sure that I kept saying we. When you're talking, you say I, and really what this work was a we, from Sustainable CT, from all the partners that helped make it possible, from all the participants. So if anything, my best advice is to put it in the we, because each one of our programs wasn't done just right? I know one day we were mic'd at the farmer's market, and several of the students were supposed to show up that day because they knew we were coming and they wanted to film it. And they blew me off and they had texted me, and I forgot I was mic'd, and I said to Jim, I was like, you didn't get me swearing at the kids out loud that they weren't coming. So I can say trust in CPTV. They did not include that in the segment when my plan for the day changed. But I think, I think in sharing that on our Facebook pages and our Instagram, it really gets people to pay attention. I mean, I'm thinking about all the projects that were here and how great our community is here. I know about the vertical gardening, and then seeing how you're putting students to work in New Haven and training kids to be the next leaders. I think that's important. Niantic, we're down there a lot. And so it was wonderful to see all about the sailing, and not just sailing, but learning a lot about what's happening in our waters, not just how to navigate them. So I say keep it in the we. Expect that your mic might be on, but they'll clear it up for anything that doesn't work on camera or sound.
Perfect. Thank you. That's really interesting. Yeah, similar experience. Thankful, in my case, it was nice I made sure that we had several youth who are mechanics for the bike shop. I made sure that they showed up because they were on the clock. I was like, I'm going to pay you. You're being paid,
Lesson learned.
and we're going to do the recording. So it worked out well.
Note stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Chris, why don't we go over to you and tell us about sort of your experience filming, sort of like, I don't know if your film process was all in one shot, one day, or if it was sort of over multiple days, since I know that you kind of also interact a lot with youth in your program.
Sure. Well, the CPT folks came out over a number of months and mostly communicated with Adrian about setting up when to come by and caught different pieces of different things we did. And the filming, the end result as far as the film, the video was, a great look, great discussion with some of the youth. Sophia and Jayla and Adrian were great. And, when you do organizing, we organize a lot of public events, and every one involves a lot of public speaking. And Jayla, who's a sophomore in high school, was testifying at the Board of Alders. That was all by herself. I mean, there was no like coaching or prep. She just did it. So a lot of these youth are very used to being in public. So I think Sophia and Jayla were a bit nervous talking on camera because there were, as you guys when they were doing with you, there's CPTV with like 3 cameras and 2 sound people, and it was quite a production, which is a bit different than what we normally do. But one of the things about working with the media that is typical in when you're organizing is trying to be very clear about what your message is, and because the media can often get it wrong in general, or they just hear it differently. But and we didn't really have high expectations about this necessary segment. So it wasn't something that we were really trying to communicate that the mayor needs to fund something or the government needs to change something. I thought it was a beautiful piece, but honestly, I felt like what didn't really quite capture what the youth were working on as far as policy change. It didn't really capture, trying to get $5 million to fund climate projects that we're working on. It did capture like the youth talking about the climate emergency and the crisis, but also like the Board of Education, advocacy work wasn't in there that I recall. So I know Sophia, Jayla, and Adrian talk about that stuff all the time. So I know they talked about it and I talked about it. But I mean, those are just one of the things like when you're, with print media or TV and stuff, it's just something to think about. If you do have a real important message, trying to communicate that very clearly. And that's something I guess we could have done. We didn't really talk clearly to the producers about that. And we just kind of answered their questions, but we probably could have done something if we really wanted to make that message come out more clearly.
That's really good guidance. I think sort of media training is a big deal, and there's a reason that there's there are people who are essentially professional media trainers. They train people to speak to the media all the time. But it's great that you've got a number of youth that are already trained and already sort of have learned to speak in a public setting, and I think it transfers over very well. When I was selecting programs and suggesting programs to CPTV, I had sort of my own notes about all of the programs that we've done, over the course of the past couple of years, and made recommendations about, hey, CPTV, focus on this group, or focus on this group about this thing, or this other group about this other thing. And, again, but at the end of the day, they don't tell me exactly who they're filming, when they're filming, what's going on. So I'm a little bit in the dark. So when I actually see the CPTV should pop up, I'm getting it for the first time too. I may know your projects, may have recommended you, but it's new to me. So yeah, I can agree with you wholeheartedly about sort of like figuring out what your message is and then figuring out how to deliver that effectively.
Right, and just one more thing to jump in, Joseph, like I'm on the camera a lot, which I was surprised at because it's really a youth-led project, and have me like waxing supposedly eloquent about climate change around the world, and it was just kind of off what our main message was. But it's kind of funny that I was on camera so much. Yeah,
I don't know. I think one thing I would always try to do, this is my first time being in this role, managing the CPTV process, is one, I think I can probably, and this will actually be very helpful as well for the future, because anyone who I even recommend to CPTV, I will send this broadcast and sort of say, hey, before I've recommended, they're going to be giving you a call to follow up with you to set up something. This would have been really helpful, I imagine, probably to all of you, to have a little something in the bag to think about beforehand. Next, let's go to Ken. Ken, share with us about sort of your process, especially since you have, people out on the water. You have, water visuals, and people out doing things that is not. You've got weather to deal with. You've got all kinds of swells, and I don't even know how they recorded everything, but really excited and interested in how that came together.
They were great. Well, it was very nervous and exciting at the same time to host CPTV. I would say we were apprehensive that after 2 days of filming, it would be edited down to a 10-minute program that would tell our entire story to a lot of influential people, or people we wanted to influence and reach. So I guess part of it is you're going to have to trust the experts, these media experts at CPTV, that they are going to not leave the best stuff on the cutting room floor. I don't know if they still have cutting room floors, but it's probably digital, but you know what I mean. And they'll tell your story. There's a lot of trust that we hope, and they did deliver. I think you have to carefully select the people that you are going to put in front of the camera, as well as the features of your program, the high points, the highlights, as you are telling your story through the camera. Who are you putting in front of the camera? And we selected, hey, there's a couple of standout kids that I think would really shine. And there's a couple of real great leaders who have a great, we have one of these, one of our instructors is a Wesleyan sophomore, genius, scientific microbiology, marine science major. And she could talk about marine science all day long. And she's great. You just love to listen to her. So, it was great that she was like a natural. But I think you want to have, to the extent you can, have a planned presentation with a unified message. So if you're going to have more than just one person in front of the camera, that you have them sort of coordinated in advance, that, this is kind of the message that we're trying to promote. And we should all be sort of consistent in that way. Now, we picked a very busy day in our program. We could have picked a nothing day. We picked a day where we had probably 100 little boats out on the water, a sailing race, regatta, with clubs from all over the southeastern Connecticut, as well as a backdrop against what we were really promoting, which was our sustainable practices initiatives, where we had kids on a big boat. That was it had the solar power, and it had the wind power, and it had an electric motor, no carbon footprint, zero, and CBT really. So I guess what I'm struggling with, we had a lot to present, and then CPTV decided, well, this is what we're really interested in. This is what we're going to, and they really liked the big boat with the solar power and the batteries and stuff like that more. I guess to the extent that you can ask the producer in advance, what kind of questions are you going to be posing, as opposed to just putting a camera in somebody's face and saying, action, and so they could prepare in advance, not that they're going to read a script, but just so they are more comfortable and prepared about their 30 seconds or 90 seconds that they're going to present.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, a little bit of pre-prep beforehand can go a long way. I'm actually, today I'm speaking on a panel down at the Venture Clash kind of down by New Haven, organized by the Connecticut Green Bank. And we had that, we're getting lots of conversation ahead of time. We've been prepped. We've had a chance to meet all the facilitator, the coordinator, the other people on the panel. I haven't exactly seen all the questions, but I kind of know the general direction of where we're going. And that gives me a lot of, puts me at ease, so that I can just sort of be myself and not have to worry quite as much about like, oh, that's an odd question. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Bill, I think your program is really unique. It's kind of applying, people would say it's technology, it's technology, but really it's like, it's efficient growing practices, and teaching people around how to grow effectively. And, when I've had a chance to visit the training center, I was blown away at sort of how everything was constructed in there. It was great. One part that was just really great was it's very well lit because there's lots of grow lights, one. And then two, since you're growing a lot of produce in a very small space, it's very well oxygenated. So it's just like you are breathing really, really good, healthy air. And I think that was one of the takeaways I had. I kind of was like, oh, I feel kind of jazzed up coming out of here. So tell us about your experience and a little bit of what you learned through the filming process.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably echo a number of things that were said already, but sort of to drill down on it. Early in my career, I did spend some time as a communications director for a couple of projects, and so some of these things are things that I spend more energy on than others. So, like you said, a little bit of prep goes a long way. I actually am not willing to stop with a little bit of prep. I go with a lot of prep, and I think I can't remember I think it was Ken who pointed out that you have to have some trust in the professionals, and that's true, but I actually go so far as to make sure everybody knows that we don't have any control over what they do with our information, and we have to treat them as they were documentarians and they were working with us, but we still had to treat. I told all our people that we have to treat them like they're news people, that they are going to find what they find, and if they find that we do a lousy job, they could very easily report that, right? So and then we definitely had talking sheets for everybody. We had growers that we have marginal amounts of contact with in terms of they're not staff. We can't direct them what to do, but we did have multiple conversations with them in advance. We were very mindful of inviting people, right? So there were several things, like some people really want to be on television and they might show up, but some people really don't want to be on television, and so they might not show up, and regardless of what they actually say, right? So we sort of over invited folks, and we gave the CBTV the sort of the preferred order, the people that we think would be best on camera and most confident and most articulate and that sort of thing. And we definitely fed answers and that sort of that unified message to all the folks to try to say, these are the things that we think are important to emphasize about what we're doing. But then we also fed questions to the interviewers, right? We gave them, we told them, this grower is going to be here. This is their situation. I think they'd have a really interesting answer to this question. And that worked to some extent. I'm trying to think, if you have the ability, I would certainly say that selecting the people that you're going to be on, want to be on camera, if you can, is the best thing to do. I'm looking at a hand being raised, so am I generating a question?
Yes, I saw that, and I was just saying, yeah, Terry, please step in, please ask a question.
It's not really like a question, but listening to what CPTV does, they in Bolton, there's also community voice channel, which is similar to CPTV, where they do free broadcasting, free advertising. They do free training on how to use their equipment, and they cover Tallinn, Bolton, like 10 different towns that they cover, and anyone can go to Community Voice Channel and take the training and take the course and learn, you know, the process and learn how to be in front of a camera. And one of the young lady, I'm on their board, and one of the young lady that teaches the classes there at Community Voice, she's on my board for the VCN. So she does like a lot of filming for us as well, the VCN. So it kind of helps us too in what you guys are talking about, like that, you know, like awkwardness of being in front of the camera. But Community Voice Channel is like a really good, they're on cable, they have podcasts, they have radio stations. So they're kind of similar to the CPTV station.
Excellent. Perfect. Yeah, that's really good. That's a really great resource to be able to bring to the table for future folks or anyone that's sort of interested in that type of training. And I wonder if maybe some others of those types of programs also exist around the state. I'm assuming that they probably do through their public television stations. That'd be really great. I'll look into that. That's actually useful. So I wanted to just kind of round out. I'm going to just pop the screen over to the Resourceful screen I have up here, and just make sure that folks who may be viewing this in the future can see what Resourceful 3 looks like. And again, this is the third iteration of the Resourceful recordings, and there are 2 previous versions of Resourceful, and we'll have a 4th. And so it's really an opportunity for you know, Sustainable CT to focus on the Community Match Fund, to focus on the kinds of work that the Community Match Fund is bringing forward, and the types and telling the stories in a compelling fashion. You know, our goal through all of this is really to encourage a greater and a higher level of civic engagement and civic participation, and to help grassroots leaders who are, you know, often doing the work, you know, all across Connecticut to gain access to funds in a fast, easy, and flexible fashion, so that they can move forward with doing the projects that are maybe a little bit outside of their main course of work, so that they can grow and expand and take on new areas and new avenues that they know will be impactful to their local community and neighborhood. And so, you know, I'm always looking forward to, and we're always open to having other folks apply to the program. It all starts with a conversation. You can always reach me. My name is Joseph Dickerson. You can reach me at josephd@sustainablect.org, or you can reach me, it's even possibly easier, funding@sustainablect.org, which is probably the easiest to remember. So yeah, I just really thank all of the folks who were featured this year. One, for opening yourself up and being open to being recorded and filmed. And I know that, you know, it takes a little bit of extra work, possibly a lot of extra work, to organize everything, get everyone on the same page, and make sure that everyone that you want to be there is there. And so I just want to thank you for being a part of that storytelling process and being willing to go through that extra work. It really means a lot to our team here at Sustainable CT, and I know that your work means a lot to the communities that you serve. So my hat's off to all of you. I don't really have anything else to share at the moment, but are there any other questions or any other conversation that you all wanted to share with each other?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Can you, does an organization have to wait a certain amount of time if there's a different project that you're working on to apply for a match?
Correct. Great question. Yes, we allow one project per group per year. So one per year. So happy to talk with you all again about a future project. Actually, so far, everyone on this call has been involved in one project and could be involved in another. What we try and look for is that the projects, as you all know, that the projects aren't necessarily in your sort of core line of business, that it's a new opportunity, a new expansion, looking at doing something a little different year over year, and perhaps adding to and growing based on the lessons that you had from your previous year and previous experience.
Perfect.
And Cameron, I wanted to, if you're able to pop in, I just wanted to give a chance to, I know all of these folks got a lot of coaching from you and maybe even from your cat. I think your cat's great, but wanted to give a chance. Cameron is who project leaders interface with. I call you the crowdfunding guru. You coach folks and help guide them through the process of learning about crowdfunding, how to set up their Patronicity page. And so just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself, Patronicity, and sort of your role as a part of the fundraising team.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. So good to see your faces. I think I've worked with all of you in some capacity, but it's been a while, I think, for most of you. So good to see you. Most of you all know what I do, but just for the purposes of the recording, I work with Patronicity. We're the crowdfunding platform that helps put all of the crowdfunding magic in action. So I come in as a project coach and learn more about what you do with your project and help you put together a page. And then we talk a lot about crowdfunding, and I kind of just support at whatever level is needed. So if you all feel like you have it in the bag, kind of let you do your thing. But if you need a little bit more support in brainstorming, I'm also here to help there as well. So yeah. Oh, there we go. I was like, I thought the screen was closing. So yeah, that is what I do, and I'm happy to do it. I love my job so much, and it is so good to see everybody and hear all of the exciting things you've been doing with your grant funds.
Oh, I said awesome. Thank you. Cameron, good to see you, and thanks for your role on the team, and thanks for your guidance and partnership with so many of these projects that we've had over the course of the past few years. With that, I will just say thank you, everyone, so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Done, and looking forward to working with you all throughout and again in the future.
Great.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Good to hear from everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.